On this installment of Creative Cabin Fever, I catch up with my friend Steve. Now, I met Steve when I was working as the coordinator for the live streams in Cypress Avenue. He reached out to me a while ago and told me about this super exciting project that he is now working on. So, in this moment in time, these guys are the creative forces behind Curse of the Shaman, a brand new film that is about to come out. And I cannot wait to talk to them about how you go from a casual conversation catch up with a friend to let's make a film. Welcome, guys. It's a pleasure to have you here. So we have Chrissy, Mark, Connor, and Steve. How is everyone?
Good.
Very well, thank you.
Hey, guys.
Good.
So obviously, Steve and Connor got together. Nice little catch up, planning to do a film together for years or work on a project together for years, but it never happened. The timing was always a bit off. And then this.
Yeah. I mean, Connor, he says he arrived at my door. I think you called me an enabler the other day, which is probably a good word. I'm always that one friend that'll say, yeah, why can't we do something mad and crazy? So yeah, I think Connor just arrived at my door one Friday. I think it was a Friday, wasn't it, Connor? With just a vague idea of let's do something. We had nothing planned. We didn't even have a story.
Yeah, I was away on 2 jobs last year. I did a movie up in Dublin, and then I did a movie in Roscommon. And I wanted to stay at home, Rebecca. You know, I've got a wife who I love dearly, and I've got kids who I love dearly. And then there's these movie crews, and they're all right. But I prefer my wife and my kids. So I was in Cork, and I was here about 2 days, and I got bored after about 2 days. So I called to Steve, and I asked him if he was busy, and he said that they were doing, as usual, Deep Red, doing 17 different things, but they weren't doing a feature movie. So I said, do you want to do a feature movie? And he said yes. And so we kind of workshopped an idea, and then that was on a Friday. Then Steve sent the idea off to a writer who collaborates with Deep Red quite frequently. His name is Emmett, and Emmett wrote the thing on the Saturday and the Sunday. So it was a full feature script, which that's phenomenal. That's to do that is it's a huge amount of work. And then on the Monday, so there was a script there Sunday night. So on Monday, we put a casting notice out on Facebook, and dozens and dozens of people responded to that, offering to collaborate as well. And then we scouted locations, and we phoned around kind of people who we liked, kind of sound people from different crews that we had worked on. So big kind of tangent. I trained in Roger Corman's studios about 20 odd years ago, and up there the Corman model is just shoot it, and it's mainly very nice people. So it was that kind of thing. Down here, it was real. Let's get lovely people to work with, and then we'll have a nice shoot. And because film can be theatre times 20 with the just the bitching and the theatre life. It can be that. So we kind of actively went out and just got loads of sound people, cast and crew, and yeah, that was the first week. So we had the crew, the kit, the locations, and we had all the cast as well that week. Then the following week we did rehearsals for, I think it was 3 days, Rebecca. And all of this is kind of outside. So the casting was in Fitzgerald's Park because my wife has got very bad asthma, and I have little to no interest in bringing COVID home to her because I like her above the ground instead of under it. But and just, we'd have people, I think everyone has got someone in their life who would have some kind of who'd be, I suppose, high risk COVID. So we did all of the casting auditions outside and the rehearsals outside. We were down in Kennedy Quay for 2 of the rehearsals, which is really cool. It was sunny both days, and there's a new market down there, the Marina Market, and that was kind of lovely. And we were in the ferry park in keeping with the peace, love, and rainbows of the whole shoot. We were in the ferry park on the Boring Manor Road another day, and I met Mark for the first time that week. And I suppose kind of every shoot something bad has to happen. So I met Mark that week, and just kidding. I love you, Mark. But yeah, and then kind of the following week we shot it. So we shot it like 3 weeks after we came up with the idea, and we finished shooting it that week. We shot it in, I suppose, kind of 4.5 days. Really, that was really hard. I thought it was a very hard shoot. It was very like we did shorter days than usual. They weren't 11-hour shoot days. An 11-hour shoot day is the norm. So you're kind of, if kickoff is 0800 usually, then you're kind of wrapping out at 1900, and you get an hour lunch. So it's an 11-hour shoot day, but you get an hour off for lunch. We did kind of running lunches. So we didn't stop for lunch, and we were doing kind of 8-hour shoot days. Yeah, we kind of arrive out there at 9 and wrap at about 6. Is that 8 hours? It's 9 hours, isn't it? That's 9 hours. Sorry, excuse me. We kind of, or did we get out there at 9? Yeah, about 8 or 9, something like that. Yeah. It was kind of free and easy. So, like, we were shooting kind of normally. I suppose a movie would shoot maybe 5.5 pages a day. Is that what you do, Mark? Would you do 5.5 a day?
Yeah.
Something like that. And on this, I know one day we did 26 pages, which was, it was cool. Yeah. It was very cool.
As well.
That 10 of those pages were dialogue for Mark. I don't know how to did that, man. That was and fair play to you, because cutting that was very easy as well, so.
Oh really? No, good.
Yeah, Mark, I kind of, as much as like Philly Connolly, the director of photography, as much as he would shoot the cut and I would direct the cut and Steve would produce the cut, and all of the cast were acting to cut, and for me, like cutting Mark's that 10-page scene, it was easy for me because he was acting to cut. So it's real kind of like, if you do the same thing at the same time every time, then you can cut the wide, or from a different angle or whatever, or the if you push in for a close-up or something, it's easy then to cut those. You can cut on the movement, But yeah, that was that, and it was kind of, I think everyone, like, it was really hard work doing 26 pages a day, but it was great crack, Rebecca. It was, well, I thought it was great crack. I had really good fun, and I suppose I'm really big into kind of just kind of love and rainbows and happiness and that kind of thing, and I think everybody else was too on that cast and crew. They were just like, everybody was super sound, like. And it was real. There was no kind of, everyone crossed departments without apologizing. So, like, absolutely would pick up kit. And I know both of these guys definitely boarded, they definitely were boarding scenes and holding mics, and you know what I mean? Everyone just did it together.
A really good sense of community, like everyone just kind of gelled well. You found your tribe. Basically, you made a film in 3 weeks because you found your tribe. I think that's amazing. Like,
that was exactly it. And that's a really good way of putting it, actually. I think we did find our tribe of just sound people. And I think frequently you might be kind of like, oh, geez, I can't be nice there now, or they think that I'm, I don't know, nice or something. But there was, you could be nice as well, and nobody would, like, everybody else was nice too, and there was no kind of, I don't think anybody was judging anybody else, and it was, it was nice. I liked it.
I have to say, Connor,
I'm Johnny Mo.
We've had similar experiences during, obviously, this moment in time, because I'm lucky enough to coordinate live streams, and it's similar enough in that everyone is sound all of a sudden, or we're lucky enough that only the sound heads are getting to work. And like, when I go into a venue, I don't feel like I have to be shouting. I can just be kind, because everyone's grateful to be doing something.
Yeah. Well, I only met Chrissy and Mark, like, whatever, 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I've known Steve for, oh man, I don't know, about 2013. I met him in 2014. I met him in March, April, May in 2014. So that's That's 7 years this year. It's nearly our anniversary, Steve. We'd have to go out for it. But Steve has always been sound to me. So, you know, and I hope I've always been sound to him. So, I mean, I think when you were saying that the maybe only the sound people are getting to work or whatever, I think that's probably, or possibly in this case, more accurate, you know, just from the people I know. And like I know now as well that Chrissy and Mark are sound, and all the rest of the cast and crew as well are like really, really, really just nice people, really nice people, and into it, and grafters. Like everyone worked hard, and no one gave out, and they were into the art and they were into the work and just into it, you know. And I mean, Philly, the director of photography, he did a first cut in a week as well. Like, now I have to say again, like Steve is cracking the whip behind all this as well. You know, Steve and lovely and all this kind of crack, but you get texts off Steve, you know. It's kind of, so it's like certainly a lot of the reason why it's happening so quickly, from whatever concept to first cut in 1 month, is Steve cracking the whip all the time behind the scenes, you know. But yeah, Philly has he's done a first cut, and a first cut exists. In fact, now we're on Steve 3, is it? Third cut?
The third cut should be finished tonight, yeah.
Yeah. And so that'll be, I don't know, Stephen is he's over all the editing side of it, so it's more Stephen knows more about that, I think. Are you using the third cut for the sound, Steve, is it?
I think this will be the cut for the sound, yeah. And then while the sound is being worked on, while the music is being composed, then Phil will go in and he'll do all the fiddly colouring bits, and he'll change the day for night, and he'll do all the fancy effects and that onto the images while we're waiting for the sound to be done. So yeah, we should have a picture lock, hopefully.
It's so interesting because like this is stuff people don't usually talk about. Like you basically you see, oh, there's a film, and you don't talk about the fact that it takes people coming together. There has to be a writer. Yes, of course, actors are there. Then there's a whole entire film crew that is completely unseen, that no one ever pays attention to. Then there's all the editing of all the different cuts. And then there's like the layering of music. Then there's the person who actually writes the score. Like, it blows my mind how much work goes into a film, and yet so few people actually ever notice any of it. So that's really interesting. So you're on the third cut. How are you going to work on the score then? So what way are you going to get that generated? Like, do you have a specific person out there who is going to do all that for you, or are you using different artists? How are you doing it?
We're very, very lucky in that, like Connor said, just through the years we get to work with and we get to know a lot of really, really cool and sound people. And when we were putting the crew together, the first person I thought of to do the sound, actually record the sound on location, and also to edit the sound for us, was Jack Ahern, who's a musician. He goes under Mechner, I think, for his music. If people want to check it out, it's fantastic. And we've worked with Jack before. And Jack, not only is he going to record the sound as he did on location, he's going to master and edit the sound, he's also going to write and record a score for the film as well. So we're very lucky to have somebody who's willing to do all that for us, that we don't have to involve, you know, another 6 or 7 people, because it's keeping the crew nice and small helps as well to speed things up a bit.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, Steve. That's super like interesting that you're able to keep it so small, and again, being able to talk about all the different processes that people don't usually pay attention to. Like, this is brilliant. Do you know what I mean? There's people at home probably going, I never thought about that before, like how much work goes into a film. And like, now I want to focus on the actors, because like this is such a weird dynamic, right? We have a bit of everything on the screen right now, and that's super exciting. So it's given this interview a completely different way. So Chrissy and Mark, you are 2 of the main actors in the film. What's that process been like for you guys? Like, I mean, first off, right, we'll start with Chrissy, but how did you become an actress? Like, how does that even happen? Like, how does one become an actress?
With very little foresight and planning, basically. No, I guess excuse me, I always loved acting when I was younger. So I would have done a lot of theatre, a lot of youth theatre when I was a kid. But I guess like saying you want to be an actor kind of feels like, oh, I want to be a princess when I grow up. It just seems like something very unrealistic. So I went to university, did a degree in international relations, which was kind of like politics. and then realized that acting and politics were pretty much the same thing. So then I went on to do some more screen acting after college, because I realized, like, I love it. And it's kind of like, you know, even if it does just end up being a hobby thing, you do it because you love it. And then if you can make a career out of it, amazing. So yeah, absolutely loved shooting on this. It was so much fun. Like, we were given so much creative control. So sometimes, you know, obviously there's very set things that, like, okay, don't deviate from the script at all, you know. But it was nice in that it was so collaborative. We were given so much creative control, and you really felt like you were part of it. Because sometimes as an actor, I guess you can feel as a puppet, you're speaking someone else's words, you're taking direction, and that's all well and good a lot of the time. But this was fun to have so much input as well. Yeah, it was a brilliant fun.
Now, that's a really interesting thing you said, right? Because you're probably completely correct. In the process of creating a film, most actors are puppets. However, in the aftermath, you were center stage, which is actually must be such a weird polarity as a person to have to go through. It's like, okay, this is somebody else's thing, but when all this is over, it's going to look like it's just my thing, because nobody's going to really look past what's actually going on. I had never thought about that before. So thanks for saying that, because it just made me go, wow. But then you were able to, like, have your own. So it's kind of like, okay, this is a character in somebody else's words, but I feel more engaged in it because there is a bit of creative freedom. So that gives me the opportunity to be my character more, maybe. Would that be a correct summation of?
Yeah, 100%. It was exactly like that. You kind of, I guess, because a lot of the time you might have a lot more time to prepare and get into a role, whereas, you know, this is very short for everyone. I mean, as you've said already, like, we just see the actors. So when you see a film, you only think of the actors, but you don't realize that the majority of the film has been made before the actors come on set. How much of it is made in the edit. So yeah, that we were given such a short amount of time to learn the script, especially for Mark. I don't know how he did that.
I didn't.
But yeah, that we were given creative control made it a lot easier and a lot less scarier, because I guess you're like, okay, I can just go for this. I can just like take the decisions on myself, and if it goes terribly wrong, I'll obviously be directed in another way. But yeah, it was a lot of fun doing it that way.
It sounds like a lot of fun. I'm only buzzing I wasn't there. Like, so Mark, how does one become an actor, and how do you feel about the whole process surrounding the film? So similarly enough to what we just discussed with Chrissy.
Good question. It's probably a very long story. I didn't do what Chrissy and most other people did. I was a policeman for 15 years, mainly in the UK, and I left and went to live in New Zealand for 10 years for that work-life balance. And then I was sent a link for some open auditions for a certain group of movies that were being filmed over there. And I kind of went along as a little bit of a joke and out of curiosity. And I got turned away at the door because I was too tall. And I'm a giant 5'4". So to be turned away for being too tall has never happened to me. So I laughed in the AD's face and shook his hand and went, "Thank you, you've made my weekend." And I was leaving. And the casting director came out and saw me and said, "Why is he leaving?" "Oh, he's too tall." "Oh, he's not that too tall." And basically this lady changed my life. And within a couple of months, I went for a workshop in Wellington, and I left my career in the police because I became the scale double for Richard Armitage, who played Thorin Oakenshield in The Hobbit. And so I went from having no aspirations in this field to being on the biggest trilogy, or second biggest trilogy, to come out of New Zealand. And so then after that, I got myself an agent, and then thought if I was going to be an actor, stunt performer, then I should go back to uni. And so after The Hobbit, I did my performing arts degree in Wellington and did a couple of other things. And then I returned to this side of the globe. So how I became an actor, I would say being very lucky, to be honest, and just grabbing that opportunity and realizing there's more to life than maybe what I did before. And it gives me the opportunity to be less stressed and more creative and kind of enjoy myself from day to day. with this, I did feel a little bit of pressure, as in I've never had such a short period of time to prepare, and we've mentioned it, but the first couple of days we had small scenes which they went great, but I didn't know my lines off book, which you should. So the spectre of the 10 pages later in the week was kind of niggling at me. But then by Tuesday morning, just having conversations with Connor, who's just, chill, it's fine, we can don't worry. Just lifted that off me, and just enjoyed it. And also, I've done a little bit of stunt work in the last 12 months, but apart from that, nothing really. So just generally very rusty, and so a little bit nervous coming into it, especially being looked at as kind of the elder statesman of the group. When I'm not really, I'm probably just as experienced or inexperienced as the rest of them. Just to not feel any pressure, oh, he's the main guy or whatever, or any of that. And just have great fun and meet a group of people that are very creative, but also very open to collaboration. And just made it, we had 5 days in the woods, and if it had said, oh, we've got to do it all again next week, I think we'd have all turned up Monday morning, wouldn't we? We'd have all just carried on. In fact, we'd have done a trilogy of the Shaman if you'd have let us over 3 weeks. You know what I mean? It was just, let's just keep doing it. What else do you want us to do? So yeah, I'm always consider myself very lucky and kind of humbled that I do this now, to be honest.
That's an incredible turn of events, I have to say. I think more people should just randomly fall into their love path more often. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened to me as well. So I know that feeling. Beautiful story, guys. It's all so exciting. You all seem to gel so well. And obviously there's so many people that are part of this that can't be here today. And I think that should definitely be mentioned because, as I said, it's super rare that I get to talk to actors and the people behind pushing and film crew. Like, it's really a nice dynamic to have, and it's not something people talk about, and we don't really give the credit to crews. Like, the same thing Steve will tell you, like when we're working on a job like what we did in Cypress Avenue, like, you don't see the people behind. You don't see the man on the light desk. You don't see the man on the sound desk. You have absolutely no idea of what someone with my job title has to do on a day. You don't see the boys in all the filming and then the after work. So it's always really important. Something I love to do is push the people behind the scenes, because we never see them. You don't know about them. And there's obviously a personality type that allows those people to be okay with being in those jobs most of the time. And they don't do it for praise or glory. It's a passion that they like, being behind the scenes, doing the stuff that they love. I think that's fascinating.
I think that as well, and it's something that we all joked about on this shoot, actually. All of this cast and crew, I would say, are introverts, and we kind of like being not in the spotlight. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of cast and crew, kind of everywhere really, are kind of like that. And I suppose for cast, really, it must be a bit of a drudge, because it's part of their job where they have to be in the spotlight, like during shooting. And you get cast frequently who, like, they'd have their own green room or their own trailer or whatever. They're actively trying to get away from people. Because you need time on your own. So I think the personality type is probably just introverts. I think a lot of filmmakers are introverts, and there's probably many different types of introvert. And I don't know what I'm just going to go back there, if I may, please, Rebecca, like to whatever 3 minutes. And like 7 minutes ago, like both Mark and Chrissy were saying they're very lucky, and they got very lucky, and they're very lucky. They're lucky that they're able to act, and they're lucky that they got to be in movies, and they're lucky that they're in movies all the time. They both work really fucking hard. You know what I mean? So I don't know what your viewer demographic is or anything like that, but if there's artists out there, like musicians or filmmakers or actors, whatever, if you work, you'll do it. If you work, you'll do it. And I suppose as well, you kind of have to bear in mind that we're filmmakers, not money makers. We're makers of art, not makers of money. So it's kind of like, I kind of equate it in my head frequently to you might have a brickie, a block layer, or a plumber, or a spark, and they get paid, I don't know, 100 or 200 or 300 quid a day. So they're getting like $1,000 a week, and they might get to work, say, I don't know, whatever half of 52 is, 26 weeks a year. So they might get between 26 and 30 grand a year. Let's just say that's what they get. And then you've got but they're out there and they're building houses and they're building cool things for people to live in. And they're doing wonderful things. And I would say having a nice life as well. I'd like that. I'd like to, like, you know, be building like walls or the homes, you know, that kind of thing. I'd like that, because you're making something, and it's a nice life. But then a very successful big developer might be making, I don't know, 10 million euro a year or 100 million euro a year, and that's what they do. So whoever your viewers are and whoever watches this, what I would say is, if you work hard, you will get to act, you will get to make music, you will get to make movies. You might not get to make money, but so what? You'll get to meet lovely people, lovely introverts who normally hide from the world, and you'll get to create really good things with them. And you know, I think you said at the start of this, I don't know if it was before you hit record or not, we kind of found our tribe. So if you go out and work really hard, like we all did on Curse of the Shaman, you'll meet your tribe, and they're wonderful people, and it's wonderful to meet your tribe. So yeah, sure, we're lucky, but we all, including you guys, Chrissy and Mark, we worked our asses off as well, man. You know, it wasn't easy. Just because we had the crack doesn't mean it wasn't hard work.
True.
Look, eventually all it is hard work and perseverance is what gets you to where you are. A lot of preparation, hard work. Like, I'm ultimately blown away every day by everything that I'm able to do, but I'm only able to do this stuff because I put the work in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, the first step was, okay, I'm going to start doing this and see how we go. But then after that, all the work that goes into it, everyone's the same. You'll only continue in life by putting one foot in front of the other, and then every time you put another foot in front, how further you push yourself, that's completely down to you. So everyone that's here is completely deserving.
Every tiny step, you're going forward all the time. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I guess I haven't asked Connor and Steve, how did you guys get into the film industry?
You go first, Steve, because motor mouth.
Yeah. For myself, it was, again, a little bit of an accident in some ways. I started off in college. I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say like Van Wilder in terms of the parties and that, but in terms of, I was in college for, about, a quarter of my life. I was in CSN in Cork, and I studied kind of media studies and that. And then I was lucky enough to be able to go to the States, the university over there. So I spent 4 years in the States, and I started out and trained as a journalist. And because it was a liberal arts college, they let you do all kinds of other things. So I started doing maths, and I started doing marine biology, and I started doing other things. And I found I was doing screenwriting with Daniel Shamowitz, and I found the film department at the university, and took a few classes in that, and just absolutely fell in love with that. And for the rest of my time in university, which was I had about 3 years left, I spent my time between kind of film and journalism, and just learning both side by side. And yeah, came back to Cork, met Emmett and Phil and Adam, and we just started making films together, much like we did here. And then people started coming to us and offering us work for this and that, but we weren't set up as a company, so we couldn't take a lot of the jobs. So we just decided we'd set up Deep Red, and we did that about 5 years ago, and it's been going pretty good for us ever since. So yeah.
That's wonderful. And yourself, Connor, how did you fall into film or pursue film?
I don't know. I think like, I suppose I always loved film. As like from a very young age, I always loved it. And then a friend of mine filled out an application form to the local film school here in Cork. It's called St. John's. And I suppose when you love something, you'd kind of wonder, you would think, like Chrissy said there about 15-20 minutes ago, it's kind of like, I want to be a princess. That's what Chrissy said, not me. But
you can be a princess if you want. We're not going to judge, Connor.
But it's kind of, I suppose if you really love something, then you think, like for me, if somebody wanted to be a basketball player, I'd be kind of like, oh yeah, that's a really cool thing. But for the person who wanted to be the basketball player, they might think it's like the holy grail of lives or careers or whatever. So they might think that it's the same as wanting to be a princess. So I suppose I never kind of actively went after it. And then when I was about 23, a friend of mine filled out. Thank you, buddy. Did you put milk into it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Lou. Love you. So I got that course, long story short, and I went down to do it. It's St. John's College in Cork City. I think that's something that like Steve, Chrissy, and myself all have in common. We're lucky to have that superpower, you know. We're all Corkonian, like. But I went and I did that course, and I suppose because I loved it so much, I got a lot done that year. It was a 1-year course at the time because there was a film course and there was a video course. I did the film course, and I got lots done. And then kind of following on from that, I think immediately afterwards I produced a feature, and then somebody told me that they were looking for a crew up in Connemara, out in Inverness. So I got a bus up to Galway City, and I got another bus out to Inverness, and I called into the studio. It was Roger Corman's studio. Roger Corman did, he's the most prolific producer ever, soon to be overtaken by Mr. Brookhausen there, but he's the most prolific producer ever. So he would have done like Little Shop of Horrors, Sharknado, Death Race 2000, all those B movies, like hundreds of movies Roger Corman would have done. So that's where I trained in, really, I suppose. And I rocked up to the studio kind of in its heyday, and there was cool American vehicles everywhere, and there's a house up there called the Manor House, and it's got 4 facades, so you can shoot like a Western or a horror movie, or you can, you know, depending on what, it's 4 fronts on the house. And when you go into it, there's like a library on the left, and you can pull the bookshelf out and go down the secret passages and up into the cool, you know, it's just, for me, it was heaven. It was absolutely fantastic. But I kind of rocked up, and I went into reception, and I said, I heard you're looking for crew. There was a young lady in there called Siobhan McDonough, and she said, oh, what department do you work in? And I said, departments. Yeah, there's different departments in movies. And I said, oh, what department are looking for people? And she said, the art department. And I said, that sounds like me. So yeah, I got a job in the art department. I was interviewed by a fella called Anthony Stabley. Anthony, I'm still friends with him on Facebook. He's an LA person, so people from LA used to come over. But Anthony did the spaceship in Independence Day that blows up the White House, and he did Stigmata, and he was on Terminator 2. What's the one where the guy melts down and he comes back up again? The liquid
2, yeah.
Flight of the Navigator, and he was real arty guy, really arty, you know, very like super cool guy. So I got to spend, like, back then we were shooting on 35. The guy who was shooting was a guy, Jacques, Malibu Jacques. I don't even know if he likes being called that. He shot the Freddy Krueger movies, and he was kind of cool. And the director was John Howe, and he directed the old series of the Avengers. And just filmmakers, you know, really, and they were big into it. And that was the first time, I suppose, I found my tribe. And yeah, we did that. We were shooting on 35. A movie would take kind of 3 months, I suppose, back then to do, 3 or 4 months. And I was sleeping on a friend's floor, and Corman would pay £50 a week, which in today's money is about like 2 packets of crisps and a pint of Heineken. So it, you know, but it's for the love of it. So I suppose, again, when I see the new filmmakers these days, kind of like, you know, oh, that's you know, we're not getting paid, kind of, I don't even know what the rates are, you know what I mean, but we're not getting paid like €1,000 a week or something. When like I slept on a floor for months, you know, and begged to spin in a rickety old van. In fact, I think it was an action vehicle, so that'll tell you how rickety it was. Like
the couch should be a comfort, like, do you know what I mean? Like
I was on the floor. I didn't even have a couch. I was on the floor. And loving it, and absolutely loving it, you know. And then I suppose kind of moving on from that, I don't know, Rebecca, kind of when the phone rang, I just said yes, like, you know. So I got a phone call one time asking me would I shoot for Discovery and National Geographic, and I said yes, and I shot for them, and that was very cool. And we did a show called Air Crash Investigations, and then I was asked to direct some commercials, direct and produce them. So I did that about 40 or 50 times, and then I did all different things, I suppose, but I like the best things for me personally. Like I love working on movies and stuff, but for me personally, this is my third time working on an indie feature, and I'm really excited about that. I'm really kind of like I was saying to my wife there, you know, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago, I was kind of like I've made 3 indie features, you know, and that's like for me that's kind of it. So I don't know is the answer to your question when you're saying how did I get it, what's the journey. It just kind of happened, and when the phone rings I always say yes. Well, usually I say yes, you know.
But what I've deduced is that everyone here is doing it for love and passion. Everyone here has said yes to every opportunity that's come their way, and even some opportunities where they might have been slightly too tall, in Mark's case, and ended up in a situation where everything worked exactly as it is. And I think that's usually what happens. If you take those steps every single day, you will always end up where you're supposed to be, regardless of how long it takes you to go back, every detour you take. And I think that's fascinating. So for the last segment of the interview, let's talk about the film itself.
Oh yeah.
Why are people excited about this incredible indie film that is about to come out? What are we to expect from the film itself? As exciting as everything else in the interview has been, tell me about Curse of the Shaman.
You want to take that, Steve-O?
I suppose it's going to be like we said, an indie kind of horror film. There's some nice bits of comedy in there. There's a few scenes that I would have described when we were doing them as like proper cinema. They're real emotional scenes, and the actors again just found their characters, and all the actors who were involved, there was a lot of trust between them, which I'm sure Chrissy and Mark can talk about more and better than I would, and that it's good to have trust between actors when you're working scenes together. But in terms of the film, I suppose it's going to be creepy. There's a few twists and turns along the way that people might or might not see coming. Who knows? And it's just going to be a lot of fun, I think, for people to see, you know, something that was done in 3 weeks, but to see the quality that can be done across 3 weeks, because the actual images that I've seen that Phil allows us to look at, and I've been lucky enough to see some of the color grade tests and things like that. And and I know what Jack can do with the sound, and I know what Jack can do in terms of scoring the film. So it's going to look like something that did take months upon months upon months to put together. And again, that's down to the amazing actors. It's down to the likes of Phil, it's down to the likes of Jack, and also to Dave and Garrod, who are also crewing there on the day and that as well, who were just powerhouses for us as well in terms of doing everything and anything. So I think people are going to have a bit of fun with it. And it's it's a nice story. It's kind of a Celtic tale as well, so it's nice to do that. Connor might want to add a few bits to that.
I think I suppose from my perspective, I suppose encourage other people as well to do your own thing, find your tribe, do your own thing. There's that, and then the movie itself, I think it I would hope will provide a bit of escapism for an hour or so, and the you know, there's some nice visuals to look at. There's some beautiful performances, and yeah, I think everyone whose way it comes should most certainly watch it, if that's correct English. Even if it's not, you should as well.
It might entice people to watch it even more. They're like, is the film going to be like this? Is it going to be terrible English in it? Should we watch it just so we can joke at Connor? Guys, it's been an incredible opportunity being able to interview you all about this incredible collaborative project that is about to come out. The fact that you've actually managed to film a film in 3 weeks and that everything else is on the way is just momentous. You should all pat yourselves on the back and just be like, yeah, we're deadly, because you are. You're deadly.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys would like to add to the interview before I stop recording? And anyone at home, do check that film out when it comes. I will post it on all my socials, obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah, just thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I just want to say kudos to the lads for getting it all together. Like, it was quite the triumph.
Yeah, if I could, the fact we did it in 3 weeks isn't an excuse for what you're going to see in the finished article. It's going to be a great movie, and then to find out it was only done in 3 weeks from start to finish is the icing on the cake. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a classic horror story, and I think people can have some fun and have a laugh and enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's magic that there's indie films being made at the moment. Never mind that they're being made by such sound heads. So well done, lads.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
much.